They woke the world to their magic, and their wizardry transcends time. Many have passed on, but their heroics live forever. On football's greatest stage, the gods of the game have earned their encore. Pelé, Beckenbauer, Cruyff, Maradona. Revered today by generations unborn when they weaved their spell. In the streets of South America, up laneways throughout Europe, on the dirt roads of any African village, the deeds of the past inspire the players of tomorrow. It's the cup of hope, the cup of dreams. It's football's biggest prize on the greatest stage of all. When Wayne Rooney became the first England player to score 50 international goals in 2015, he was rightly celebrated as one of the greatest forwards to wear the three-line shirt. At the time, much of the coverage of his fantastic achievement centred on the comparison with the man whose record he had just beaten, Bobby Charlton. Charlton's 49 goals came in 106 matches for England. Rooney's 49th came in his 106th match, and goal number 50 in match 107. Both played for Manchester United, and both were known for their attacking football. Rooney capable of outrageous brilliance, like his famous overhead showstopper in the Manchester derby at Old Trafford in 2011. Charlton known for his ability to pierce the net from long distance. There's just one difference. Although he would move to midfield late in his United career, Rooney scored almost all of his goals for England as a forward, while Charlton was a midfielder. Of the 8 Englishmen to have scored more than 30 goals, only Charlton was not a specialist forward. To have remained England's leading scorer for 45 years after his retirement as a midfielder was a truly remarkable achievement. Almost as remarkable as winning a World Cup, which he did in 1966. Almost as remarkable as winning the Ballon d'Or in the same year. But nowhere near as remarkable as having his long, wonderful, distinguished life in football after surviving and recovering from the trauma of the Munich air disaster, which killed many of his United teammates. It's remarkable, all right, and Bobby Charlton's story continues after the break on football's greatest stage. Some footballers play to their personalities, like George Best or Paul Gascoigne, who played with carefree attacking flair on the pitch and, to their detriment, off it as well. But Bobby Charlton was the opposite, almost like there were two of him. In battle, an exuberant, creative, attacking midfielder, taking on the game and opponents with raking passes and lethal long-range shots on goal. Off the pitch, so much quieter, reserved, diplomatic, uncontroversial. A director at Manchester United for more than 30 years. Charlton's brother, Jack, a teammate in the 1966 World Cup triumph, is one who believes 20-year-old Bobby was changed by the trauma of the 1958 Manchester United air disaster, which killed 23 people, including 8 of his teammates. "I saw a big change in our kid from that day on," he wrote in his autobiography. He stopped smiling, a trait which continues to this day. It may be that after that, the football pitch was the one place where instinct kicked in and he could play with carefree resolve. The son of a Northumberland coal miner, Charlton joined the youth team at Manchester United at 15. Became one of the Busby Babes, making his senior debut a week before his 19th birthday and scoring a brace in his first match, fittingly against Charlton Athletic in October 1956. At 20, he was on the cusp of national selection when goalkeeper Harry Gregg pulled him unconscious from the wreckage of the plane in Munich. Barely 2 months later, he scored in his England debut against Scotland. And in his next match, he netted both England goals in a 2-1 win over Portugal. That won him a place in the 1958 World Cup squad, although he was unused throughout the tournament. By 1962, he was the team star, but couldn't prevent the quarter-final defeat, which led to an overhaul of English football and the appointment of Alf Ramsey as coach on the road to a home World Cup. Ramsey wanted to build his team around 2 Bobbies, Bobby Moore as the captain and Charlton as the team's inspiration. Under Ramsey, Charlton played a more rounded role, scoring fewer goals himself but creating more. In 40 appearances for England before Ramsey, he smashed in 25 goals. In 66 matches under the revered coach, he scored 24. 3 of them came in the 1966 World Cup, although none in the final. But when retrospective Golden Balls were assessed, he was named as the 1966 tournament best player. He scored the first goal in England's 2-0 win over Mexico in the group stage. And in the semi-final clash against the Eusebio-led Portugal, he got both England goals. This in the first half.
And Bobby Charlton's there with England's first.
And this 80 minutes in.
And Bobby Charlton's right there.
The host nation headed into the final against West Germany at Wembley, where Charlton and Franz Beckenbauer virtually cancel each other out. As Charlton recalled many years later, German coach Helmut Schön had instructed Beckenbauer to mark Charlton.
I remember when the World Cup was on in 1966, and the whistle went for the start of the game, and Franz Beckenbauer came across to me, and he was holding me, and I said, why are you doing that? He says, you just go on and play.
The tactic played into the hands of Alf Ramsey, who had instructed Charlton to mark Beckenbauer.
Alf Ramsey said to me, he said, I want you to go and stand by Franz Beckenbauer. He's a young boy, he's only 17. He says, but you have to stick with him from the beginning of the match to the end. And I did that. I stuck to, I really got stuck into Franz.
Even if Charlton was wrong about Beckenbauer's age, he was 20. The concentration of the Germans' best player on him freed up the likes of Geoff Hurst and Martin Peters to run through the goals which delivered England its greatest triumph. By 1970, Charlton was almost 33, but still starred in the first half of the quarter-final, again against West Germany and Beckenbauer, until he began to wilt in the heat of the Mexican summer. England were 2-0 up as Ramsey prepared to rest his star for the semi-final. But then it all went wrong. Beckenbauer scored in the 68th minute. Charlton was replaced in the 70th minute, and Uwe Zeller scored in the 82nd minute to send the match into extra time. Charlton watching helplessly from the bench as Gerd Muller stole a 3-2 win. He knew immediately that would be his last game for England. And he remains the only Englishman to have made 4 World Cup squads. In 1994, he was knighted for his services to the game, services he continued to provide deep into extra time. As a bright young player, Sir Bobby Charlton was almost lost with the other Manchester United souls on the Munich runway. It will be the sports game that on football's greatest stage, he made every second count thereafter. Time for some trivia now. And this time, we're looking at the various ways nations have distinguished themselves over the span of 20 World Cups. Only one nation has played in every World Cup tournament, and of course, it's Brazil. 5-time champions. They've not surprisingly also had the most individual match wins of any nation with 70. But did you know that they have not played the most number of World Cup matches? That honour goes to Germany, whose consistency in making 8 finals and 5 semi-finals from their 18 World Cup tournaments has meant they have played in 106 matches to Brazil's 104. As for the most draws, Italy's famous, or perhaps infamous defensive style known as catenaccio has led to it playing in the most drawn games, 21 of its 83 matches. Although 45 wins and 4 World Cups puts it squarely on the right side of the ledger. The unfortunate tag of most losses goes to Mexico with 25, 4 more than Argentina. The Mexicans have been regular qualifiers, but only made 2 quarterfinals from 15 tournaments. And finally, the most penalised team? Argentina has 120 bookings at the World Cup, ahead of Germany and Brazil. 8 of them have been red cards, the same number as Uruguay from much fewer matches. But the leader for red cards is the leader for World Cup wins. Yes, it's Brazil with 10. Maybe it's the tough game, not the beautiful game, which wins on football's greatest stage. After the break, France's 2010 World Cup campaign embroiled in controversy as tempers flare on the world stage. Controversies abound on football's greatest stage. The damage often cutting deep, but rarely have the wounds been so spectacularly self-inflicted as in the case of the French 2010 World Cup squad. After France's heartbreaking yet promising runner-up finish under Raymond Domenech in 2006, they were considered strong contenders for the 2010 tournament in South Africa. But a meek qualification campaign saw them qualify only after beating the Republic of Ireland in a playoff in extra time, and only after Thierry Henry handled the ball in setting up the winning goal. The 2010 tournament began with a scoreless draw against Uruguay, and France was 0-0 with Mexico at half-time in the second group match, when striker Nicolas Anelka and coach Domenech had a furious row. Anelka was subbed out of the game, and 2 second-half goals to Mexico left a demoralised France teetering on the edge of an early exit. The French Football Federation immediately sent Anelka home for abusing the coach, but the rest of the players sided with their teammate. Things went seriously downhill when the team arrived at an important training session ahead of their final must-win group match against host nation South Africa. The French players signed autographs with fans, but refused to train in protest of Anelka's expulsion. With an incredulous media watching on, Captain Patrice Evra exchanged heated words with fitness coach Robert Deverne. Domenech tried to calm Deverne, but he stormed off. It became too much for some. This French football staffer reduced to tears by the mutiny.
The guy crying.
Domenech had repeatedly pleaded with his squad not to insult the honour of playing for their nation.
For 45 minutes, even more, I was trying to negotiate with them on the bus. I tried to convince them that what they were doing was an aberration, an imbecility, a stupidity without name. And that after 45 minutes, after the president, after René Charrière and other staff members, all tried to persuade them that this was an aberration, that you can't do that as players of the French national team.
Domenech also revealed that he had offered Anelka the chance to apologise for his obscenities, but the fiery striker refused. Given the tumultuous build-up to France's final match, it was no surprise they duly lost to South Africa 2-1. The torment of a disastrous campaign finally over. The French media was scathing in their criticism of the mutineers. And back home, Anelka, Evra, Franck Ribéry, Jeremy Toulalan, and Eric Abidal was summoned to a federation disciplinary hearing. Anelka received an 18-match international ban, but never played for his nation again. Evra was banned for 5 matches, Ribéry 3, and Toulalan 1, with Abidal escaping punishment. But it wasn't just the players who were punished. Domenech was sacked, replaced by Laurent Blanc, and FFF president Jean-Pierre Escalette also resigned. Disharmony would continue to impact the team through the 2012 Euro tournament, and Blanc's time as coach was short, replaced by 1998 World Cup winning captain Didier Deschamps, who set about restoring team harmony with a quarter-final appearance at Brazil 2014. But for one of the proud and traditional football nations, the mutiny of 2010 will live in infamy. For the 20th World Cup in 2014, it was fitting that the only nation to have played in all 20 would be the host. And despite plenty of negativity in the press in the lead-up to Brazil's dual dates of World Cup 2014 and Rio Olympics 2016, the host nation pulled it off spectacularly, building 7 new venues and renovating 5 others, including the magnificent Maracanã. It became football's greatest stage for the second time, having been the scene of Brazil's saddest moment in football, the shock loss in 1950 to Uruguay. At least, it was the saddest moment until Brazil failed to even make it to the 2014 final at the Maracanã, exiting the tournament at the semi-final stage in an infamous 7-1 smashing by Germany. The team, indeed the nation, had allowed itself to be distracted by the hand-wringing drama of Neymar's absence after his injury in the quarter-final against Colombia. It was, in fact, a World Cup highlighted by its exits. Until Brazil's spectacular implosion, Spain had taken the prize for the meekest departure. After winning an historic treble of Euro 2008, World Cup 2010 and Euro 2012, their squad was certainly ageing, but no one expected them to expire after just 2 games. In their first group match, they were crushed 5-1 by Netherlands in the replay of the 2010 final. And when they lost 2-0 to Chile in the second, it didn't matter what they did to Australia in match 3. They were already gone. When Italy also departed at the group stage, it meant the last 2 champions were already out. Italy's only win in 3 matches was against England. Also gone after the brilliance of Luis Suarez sent them packing after just 2 games. Suarez himself wasn't far behind them at the airport. Thrown out of the tournament after his reputation as a biter came back to bite him. Throw in Portugal's failure, and it meant that by the end of the group stage, Cristiano Ronaldo, Wayne Rooney, Andres Iniesta, Andrea Pirlo, Suarez, and numerous other big names were gone too early. After Neymar joined them, to be followed by the rest of the Brazilians, and Netherlands signalled their international decline with a penalty shootout loss, it left Germany to face Argentina for a record 3rd time in a final after their 1986 and 1990 clashes. For a long time, the final looked set to go to penalties, but in the 113th minute, a hero emerged. Mario Götze's left-foot volley from an Andre Schürrle cross delivered Germany's 4th World Cup and its first since reunification. Götze's split-second decision was born from the ruins of their early departure from France 1998, when the German Football Association made the establishment of youth academies compulsory for all Bundesliga clubs. The result? Schürrle, Götze, Thomas Müller, Mats Hummels, Toni Kroos, Mesut Özil, to name just a few of the World Cup heroes to come through. The 2014 World Cup was also notable for something else. Surely the most unhappy winner of the Golden Ball in any of the 20 editions. Lionel Messi was presented his prize just minutes after missing his chance for what would have been immortality of Maradonian proportion. For this accumulator of individual awards, this individual award meant nothing against the golden orb held by Philipp Lahm. It's all about the team on the greatest stage of all. When we return, he never tasted the ultimate success, but Claudio Bravo is one of Chile's favourite sons. Success can be measured in different ways on the world stage. And while Chilean goalkeeper Claudio Bravo has never achieved the ultimate World Cup glory, he was a driving force in sending the national team rising up the world rankings as a team to be feared. With a nudge from his father at a young age, he began in Colo-Colo's youth academy before transitioning into their senior lineup. He spent 10 years in La Liga with Real Sociedad and Barcelona, before shifting to Manchester City in the English Premier League. What has set Bravo apart was that the big European clubs came calling, not so much for his work with Real Sociedad, but for his heroics with Chile. In 2014, after 8 years with Real Sociedad, his stint at Barcelona started in record-setting fashion. He went 754 minutes without conceding a goal, a La Liga record at the time. And it took arguably the game's best, Cristiano Ronaldo, to end the impressive streak. His first season saw him win the first of his 2 Spanish top-flight titles with the Catalans, as well as the Champions League, sparking an impressive run of form with the national side. Under his captaincy, for the first time in Chile's history, they progressed from the group stage in successive World Cups in 2010 and 2014, and they took back-to-back Copa America titles in 2015 and 2016. Bravo, the goalkeeper of the tournament, both times. He cemented himself as one of the greatest Chilean footballers by becoming the first ever to earn a 100th cap in 2016, and came up agonisingly short of another trophy at the 2017 Confederations Cup, losing in the final to Germany 1-0, a tournament in which Bravo was again named best goalkeeper. After proving competitive against the reigning world champions, Chile seemed poised to help the 34-year-old Bravo to a third consecutive World Cup tournament. But La Roja fell short in the qualification stage, suffering shock losses to Paraguay and Bolivia at crucial stages to finish 6th in the CONMEBOL group, and a conclusive defeat to Brazil in the final game sealed their fate. When Bravo's 2018 World Cup dream ended, he had 119 caps with Chile, tied for the most at the time alongside Alexis Sanchez. His legacy will be one without the ultimate success. But the message from all the Chilean fans to their departing hero was unanimous. Bravo, Claudio. Bravo.